Ladies and gentlemen, seekers and sleepers, curious beasts and faithful wanderers, lend me your ears, and more importantly, your minds. Today, we gather not around a fire, but around a fragment, one of those strange little phrases that flickers like a candle in a cave, a riddle not just of words, but of sequence, a whisper that points not directly at truth, but toward the angles truth makes when bending around corners. Here is the fragment. Cats are designed one way, while dogs are designed the same way, but either before or after, and this is what makes the difference between when making a cat and a dog. Now, stop. Let's say it again, slowly. Cats are designed one way. Already, the sentence begins with clarity, or so we believe. It enters like a scientific observation, like a zoologist speaking at a conference, or a designer evaluating two models of living machines. But then comes the twist. While dogs are designed the same way. Interesting. So, cats and dogs, in terms of design, are the same. That's counterintuitive. That's not what we're taught, not what we feel. Cats are aloof, mysterious, independent, liquid and silent, and sometimes cruel. Dogs are loyal, eager, erect and clumsy and gregarious. They are not the same, but the fragment insists, designed the same way. So, this is a matter of design, not behavior. Perhaps beneath the fur and personality and cultural archetypes, the two are drawn from the same architectural plan. Perhaps they are built from the same engine, the same modular elements. Yes, but then, listen, but either before or after. There it is, the time twist, the insertion of sequence, and with it, the suggestion that timing is everything, that it is when, not what, that separates these creatures. The design remains the same, but its application is staggered. One comes before, one after. And this, we are told, makes all the difference. But wait, there is more. And it is this final clause that truly sets the brain spinning. And this is what makes the difference between when making a cat, and a dog. Now we have entered the wild terrain, the doubling of when, and making, a repetition that is no accident. It is the linguistic fingerprint of the unconscious, the kind of phrasing that comes not from calculation, but from instinct or visitation. We could clean it up, try to make it more palatable, but if we did, we would miss its meaning. So let us not clean, let us not tidy, let us instead enter the jungle. 1. When becomes a variable. Let's begin with the double when. What does it mean to say the difference between when? At first glance, we might suspect an error, a stutter, a duplication. But we must resist the editor's urge to correct and instead ask, what if the double when is the whole point? In English, when is a hinge. It can serve as a question, when will it happen? Or as a conjunction, when I was young. Or as a condition, it happens when you press this. It governs time, yes, but more than that, it governs the relationship between time and causality. So to say when is to suggest that there is more than one kind of when. One when might be chronological, clock time, sequence, hours and minutes. The other when might be ontological, readiness, destiny, purpose, fate. To illustrate, the birth of a being occurs on a date. This is the first when. But the moment they awaken to who they are, that is another when, and it may not match the first. When may signify the collision between these two timelines. That is, not just when something happens, but when the when happens. And so, the difference between cat and dog is not in what they are, but in the moment that their moment takes hold. One is early, one is late. One remembers the bell before it rings, the other only after. 2. Making, the echo of intent. Now let us turn to making. This is harder still, but I propose we think of it not as a typographical mistake, but as a kind of recursive truth. In ordinary speech, to say making a cat would be strange enough, but to say making a cat, well, that is a mirror loop. What is making? It suggests that we are not merely forming a cat, but forming the process by which a cat is formed. This is design. Not design, but the making of design. Think of it like this. The act of shaping clay into a pot is one thing. The act of shaping the method by which one learns to shape the clay, that is metamaking. So too here. The cat is not just made. It is made through a particular making, one determined not by essence, but by sequence, by the before or after of the process. In this reading, the sentence is not zoological. It is cosmological. We are not talking about pets. We are talking about the designation of number and purpose. 3. On number and purpose. This, the headline of the fragment, may at first seem arbitrary, abstract, but it is, I believe, the true key. The fragment is not ultimately about cats or dogs. It is about number and purpose, two foundational axes of reality. Let us consider them. Number is order, sequence, distinction. 1, then 2, then 3. It is what allows us to tell the difference between a singular and a plural, between beginning and after, between this and that. Purpose is aim, function, calling. It is what gives a thing its reason for being. In this fragment, we are told that the cat and the dog are designed the same way, but the timing of their design is different. One is before, one after. This is number, the sequence of arrival. And this difference in number, in when, is what gives rise to difference in purpose, that which makes a cat and a dog a dog. In other words, identity emerges from timing, and purpose follows sequence. 4. Expectation versus experience. Now we must also speak of expectation, for this is a fragment that misleads. At first glance, the reader expects something simple, something whimsical, cats and dogs, design, perhaps a punchline, but what they receive is a spiral. They expect a diagram and get a maze. This is the glory of a fragment like this. It disguises its cosmic commentary in the wrapping of silliness. It uses pets to speak of fate. It plays with repetition in order to uncover recursion. It uses syntax, awkward, glitchy, beautiful syntax, to mirror the very truth it is conveying, that a thing becomes itself not merely by what it is made of, but by when it is made, and how many turnings there are in its process of formation. We are not dealing with cats and dogs. We are dealing with the choreography of becoming, and that choreography is a function not merely of materials, but of order and intention. 5. The recursive problem of identity. Let us pause now and consider the line again. This is what makes the difference between when making a cat and a dog a dog. The syntax doubles in on itself, but so does our own becoming. Think of your life, who you are now, who you once were, and who you almost became. You may have had the same raw material as someone else, same genetics, same city, same schooling, but they were formed before or after, earlier, later, and so the same design, different timing, different creature. You may even find this true within yourself. One day you are gentle, the next, cruel. The difference, not your soul, not your blueprint, but your timing. Something got to you too early, or too late. You missed the turn. You arrived just in time. You paused too long. You skipped a step. And suddenly, cat becomes dog, or dog becomes cat. The creature within becomes someone else. 6. From blueprint to being. What we are shown here, then, is that sequence precedes signature. You are not what you are because of what you are made of. You are what you are because of when your design takes hold, your number, your moment of designation, your precise arrangement in the invisible arithmetic of becoming. This is not cause and effect in the modern sense. This is temporal architecture. It is not merely about action, but the timing of action. It is not merely about identity, but the designation of identity. This is why the headline is so precise. It names exactly what we are being asked to consider on the designation of number and purpose. Who designated? When? Why this one before, that one after? We do not know, but we see the outcome. Same design, staggered sequence, divergent destiny. 7. the bizarre wording, the engine of insight. Let us return now to the odd wording. The repetition of when, and making is not just strange, it is essential, for it mirrors the recursive layered truth of identity. It reveals that to make a thing is not always to make it once. Sometimes it must be made twice, once in form, once in time. And sometimes the making of making must itself be made. A thing does not merely come into being. Its becoming must be crafted, carefully, in the proper order. This is what separates the true creator from the careless magician. 8. The final thought. You are a timing. You are not just a name. You are not just a body. You are a timing. Your life is the result not just of your elements, but of your sequence. Who reached you first? What struck you late? Which thoughts arrived before others could take hold? Every person you know is a version, made by the same design, but in a different order. And so they are not what you are. They are not better, not worse, just later or earlier, just before or after. And this is what makes the difference between when making a cat, and a dog. So take care, my friends, when you judge yourself or another, when you long to be someone else, when you wonder what went wrong. Sometimes it is not the design, it is not the soul, it is the timing of the soul's awakening. It is the second when, the second making, and that is a mystery deeper than blame.